astrologypills.com, and today I'm discussing Saturn through the 12th signs. And if you have your Saturn in Scorpio, then this is your video. Before we proceed, you must understand that Saturn is the principle of negentropy, and that means Saturn is the principle of constriction, of restriction. Where your Saturn is placed, your natal Saturn, by house, by sign, by placement, will tell you what kind of challenges you will face. And they will often be your greatest challenges. But in the end, you will see that they were your greatest blessings. Because with every single lesson of Saturn, you grow, you evolve, and you become a better version of yourself. So Saturn is the great teacher and is the first guardian of humanity. Okay, it's a very limited we can see it, our naked eyes can perceive. Okay, and Saturn has encapsulated the human mind for very many generations with its icy wings and its mysterious moons and its the just beautiful sight it creates for us. The rings symbolize boundaries, and even in our physical bodies, Saturn rules everything that gives us form, like our hair, our skin, our nails, okay, our skeletal structure. So Saturn is anything that gives form, that gives restrictions. If you look at the logos expanding from the sun, moving from Mercury, learning communication, Venus, learning what it loves, moving to Mars, where it's growing, understanding its desire principle, then moving on to Jupiter, where it's just expanding. And then comes the time of Saturn, which happens when we are 29 and a half years mostly, when we experience our Saturn return. And that is our first reality check. I mean, this is the time when we truly understand the hashtag adulting. And we have to take authorship for everything we've done, everything we've learned. So Saturn needs to constrict because Jupiter expands and Saturn needs to constrict. Saturn and Jupiter are both great teachers. The Jupiter gives you blessings and helps you grow. But Saturn gives you tasks and trials and tribulations and problems and puzzles that you must solve. Saturn is tears, is pain, is separation. But ultimately, what you gain in the end is for your highest growth. Okay. Saturn, the color of Saturn in the Vedic scripture, Saturn is shiny and he's black. And it reminds one of the great void from which all creation springs. Saturn is also associated with time in many systems. In the Vedic systems, he's known as Kala, or the brother of Yama, who takes dead souls to the netherworld. Okay, and Saturn in the Western myths is also known as the Grim Reaper. So you see how he's got a bad press and how it's been really he's called the Great Malefic, and everyone's scared of Saturn and everyone's calling him names. But when you truly grow up and you mature, Saturn is about maturation, then you understand that Saturn is your greatest ally. In the Jungian archetype, Saturn is the archetype of the wise old man. So immediately it tells you that Saturn is asking us to mature, that part of us that needs to grow up, to take authorship, to understand our karmic action and reaction quotient. Okay, you reap what you sow. With Saturn, this is Karma Cafe, and sit down and no one can avoid the lessons that karma has planned for you, because you cannot escape karma. Karma is not a bitch. Karma is just the fluidity of action and reaction. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. This is Saturn. So once we understand that, we can achieve self mastery, because that's what Saturn wants us to do, self actualization. If you look at the sign, it rules Capricorn. Capricorn is about slow and steady growth with discipline, with hard work, with endurance towards soul realization, self actualization, and mastery over the 3D world, which is Saturn's domain, everything that holds form and shape. Okay, now Saturn in Scorpio is definitely a secretive placement. You're very secretive, and you may have had issues with your father that are secretive, emotional issues that you may not be able to easily bring up. Now, Saturn and the association with the father figure comes from a Vedic myth. Now, Saturn is born of Chaya, which is his mother, and the shadow, and the sun, Surya, or light. So Saturn's energies are inherently dualistic, having light and darkness. Okay, pain and pleasure. Your greatest challenge becomes your greatest gift. Now, in Scorpio, this is about death, about everything occult, everything hidden, everything deep, about sexuality, about debts and taxes. So Saturn here is very conscious uh, about self-discipline, and maybe you may have squandered away your first 28 years, but when Saturn strikes you in this placement, you are going to take authorship of your life like none other, and you're not afraid to get down and get nitty gritty with the whole situation. You want to understand your karma, how it works for you, how it's affected you, and you're not afraid of blood. Okay, this is a position that you're not afraid of blood with Saturn. You are not afraid of trauma. You can be one of those people that respond in trauma situations, and you do really well. So, since Scorpio is also about the sexual energy, there may be trauma regarding, a Saturn poses challenges. I keep saying that. So, challenges may occur with regards to sexuality and our expression of ourselves as sexual beings, what we like, what we don't like, whether we judge ourselves for it, whether if we have a good time in bed with this placement, there can be guilt. There can be guilt if you know, your sexuality is not looking the way it is meant to, in whatever way you have understood it. But as you grow and you age and you have your Sarisatis and your Saturn return, and every 7.5 years is a period of tremendous growth and maturation. Look at the Hermit card of Tarot. This is the time to tune in to that wise old man that lives within us. Okay, and so in Scorpio, everything deep, everything that needs to be investigated, Saturn can give you tremendous fuel for that. Okay, remember that the human beings are the signs, and the planets come and touch them. So the houses tell the story. Okay, so with Scorpio, we want to go deep into uh, such subjects, like as I said, deep subjects, hidden subjects, and we want to work with them. And Saturn can give us that stability, that determination. Saturn can also be phobias, can be traumas, can be so many things, can be really difficult for us to work through. So in Scorpio, you know, everything is hidden, everything to do, that it deals with unconscious, Pluto's domain. So deep subconscious, unconscious issues may pop up that you uh, need to integrate with your Saturn return, and then you can move on to a more healthier, happier situation. The occult is definitely something you want to study with Saturn here, depending, of course, on your house, but you want to look at other options, alternate medicine, uh, maybe. Sex magic, kundalini, new tantra, or whatever. Anything to do with Scorpio has this regenerative effect. Again, Scorpio also works through three lenses, three archetypes. One of the scorpion at the base level, then the eagle, which looks at everything from a vantage point and it's already had its spiritual awakening, and ultimately the phoenix that resurrects from the fire and is ready to join with source code. Okay, so depending on which spectrum of Scorpio you are vibing with Saturn, everything will depend on that. As I said, that once you've gone through some real dark nights of the soul, where your sexuality, where everything has come into question, everything that you see, Scorpio is always interested in taboo things. So there are parts of you that are dark and deep, but we can't run away from darkness. The unconscious is full of shadowy darkness, but we cannot just expect light. Okay, light is a part of reality. If you look at space, the planets and all the luminaries form a very small fragment. Everything else is dark, abstract, space, dark matter, whatever they call it. That is kind of what goes on in our unconscious. It's darkness. And darkness is not negative. It's not something to be feared. Darkness is something to be embraced. And I think Saturn with Scorpio, definitely darkness needs to be embraced. The whole idea of abstraction, the abstract dark. And you can be a profound teacher, someone who initiates other people after they've had their awakening into maybe yoga, tantra, Wicca, so many things. Okay, even tarot is fair game for you because Scorpio deals with the unconscious. So you really want to get into that zone and you want to explore that. But always remember that Saturn is negentropy, constriction. So everything scorpionic is suddenly abated, is suddenly put within boundaries. But once you grow older and you had your Saturn awakening, and then you understand that um, all the constriction was for a purpose, and then when you explode with all that power, then it's truly a Kundalini awakening moment. Okay, a very deep and very prophetic placement, very karmic placement for Saturn, definitely. So that was a bit about Saturn and Scorpio. I hope you like that video as much as I like making it for you. Subscribe, comment, like, share. You know the drill means so much. And don't forget to visit my website www.dinaheals.com. Bye.